Hi guys, sorry, just waiting for everyone to start joining in before we start kicking off. Yeah? If anyone who's here, can you please put your phones on mute in the meantime? Put your phones on mute.
I'm supposed to have one Skype meeting like that. Now. Those people they call me now. A long thing right now. I'm gonna give you one for that's my speed.
Guys, put your phones on mute. Only person that should unmute his phone now is Rasak. Thanks, Rasak. Appreciate that. So, Rasak, a few people are still joining in. Maybe we'll kick it off, say 6:05, just to get a few people in.
Oh, God.
Put your phones on mute. No, I can't actually. I can't hear. Let me see what the reasons are. Razak, I think you're on mute. That's why. Unmute your phone. Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you, Samson. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yes, I can now. Yes, you've unmuted.
Okay, good. No,
Yeah.
it wasn't working on my old headset. I've changed headsets.
Okay. Quite a lot of people are joining in.
No
I think we
problem.
could start kicking off. Should we wait for 5 minutes or should we start?
Yeah, we'll give it a couple more minutes just so we can make sure
Okay.
as many people have joined as we can, and then
Yes,
to give them some of the rules, like mute yourself, turn off your camera, etc.
Okay. Let me see if who else is on here. 1 second. Deji, are you on as well? John Osinoba. Deji, are you there?
Hi, Samson, I'm in, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm
All
just
right.
gonna put my mic on mute. When you're ready, just give me a shout.
Okay. I mean, you can leave yours unmuted if you want to. I mean, if you're busy doing something fun, if not, you can, because you're definitely going to be obviously some people talking.
Yeah, I'll just keep it on mute because when too many people are talking, it might just clash with the sound. So I'll just unmute it when you're ready.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Sampson.
Yeah. Who's that?
This is Kissinger.
Okay, good. Can you unmute your phone?
Okay, no problems.
Yeah, mute your phone rather. So is that Dira? No?
Yellow boy and a bottle.
Dira, is that you? Let me just do it. Just check.
And I want to go to the room.
Just mute. And okay, Chibi, you're on as well, because obviously you're also
correct. I'm on.
Oh, good stuff. Great. We'll soon be kicking off in the next 4 minutes. Oshoke, are you on as well? Let me see. Let me just verify if Oshoke is on. 1 second. So before we kick off, this is a question and answer session. So anyone can feel free to ask any question to the people on the group regarding stocks, shares, or investment, and they will answer. We'll try and keep each topic, each agenda item between 15 and 20 minutes. Hopefully we can keep this meeting to the 1 hour, 30 minutes we agreed to. So just 3 more minutes before we kick off. So if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself when we start. We kick off in 3 minutes. When we start, feel free to ask any questions. It's an open forum for questions and answers. So any kind of question you have, regarding shares, stocks, understanding, feel free. Guys, can you use your phone? Use your phone. Okay. Mute your phones.
Months of review day. They had the case in 2019, so they're 8 months of review. Right.
Chineke Ajay, can you mute your phone, please? Okay. Also, if any questions come for, like we said, people who have an understanding or expertise in terms of the agenda items, when they answer us, can they introduce themselves, what they do, so we can have more clarity to understand why they're experts? Not well, we're not experts, but why they have a better understanding than we do. Okay. So I will kick off in the next minute. And let me just post the agenda item so everyone has it. Okay. All right, Rasat, guys, let's start. I'll start with first thing. The first agenda item, which is stocks. And feel free to join in. Why should we invest in stocks now? Why stocks? And how do we go about it? So that's my personal question. Does anyone want to answer that?
I'll take that since I don't know, since I'm here. I'll give a quick introduction to those that don't know me. My name is Razak Ahmed. I have a full-time job. I'm not a full-time trader. I do not work in financial services, although I have done in the past. Currently, I work in cybersecurity for a fashion e-tailer. But at present, as we speak, I'm currently on furlough due to the current COVID-19 situation, which has given me more time to spend on my trading. When it comes to trading, the stock market, etc., and forex, I'm what they call I'm an active trader. That is, I'm not looking to invest in the long term when I go into the markets typically, although that is something I'm learning how to do that better. I take a much more active role. I buy and sell. Some people call it speculation. Some people call it trading. I call it swing trading. So there's a little bit about myself and my knowledge on this. I've been doing trading like this for, I think, about 4 years now. Actually, no, more than 4 years. Coming up to 6 years, actually. By the end of this year, it'll be 6 years. And that wasn't, I initially started off full time. And if I get time to tell you my story, I'll definitely tell you, don't go full time until you know exactly what you're doing. I did not know. But I've learned much since then. So I don't know who's talking, but can everyone please
Hold
mute
on, I'll
their...
see and just mute. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Yeah. So Samson, to answer your question, you're like, why should we invest in the stock market now? And then how do you go about doing so? I think that was your question.
Yeah.
Okay, so the easiest one with the why is because it is better than putting your money in the bank, which is the only other place you're going to put it.
Okay.
As I'm sure you've all seen, due to the previous financial crash, if you live in the UK, probably if you live in other countries in the world, years of austerity have seen extremely low interest rates by the central banks, which mean that your retail banks, where you all park your money, your salary, your earnings, etc., aren't really giving you much in terms of interest. You might as well have stuffed that money in your mattress for all the interest it's going to do you. Of course, if you're one of the lucky few who has, 6 figures or more in their savings account, then, that 2-3% that you might be lucky enough to get on an introductory rate when you open a new account might give you a little something, but, it is really talking peanuts. If you look at the rate of return, if you'd invested, let's say, just even in a tracker fund, which I wouldn't say that is for everyone, but even in a tracker fund over the last year, or even since Trump came into power, the stock markets are making all-time highs. And so as you look at the interest coming, the rate, the return rate on that, it would have been better than keeping your money in the bank. So the reason you should invest in the stock market, or at least in something other than putting your money in a bank account, is because your return is going to be greater than if you left it in your bank account. That is my opinion. This is not something I've been taught in a business school or something, and I'm sure there's someone on here with an MBA who might be able to disabuse me of my particular opinion. But that is the why, in my opinion. As for the how, There's a couple of different ways, but mainly they do with brokers. So stockbrokers. This is not the 80s or 90s where you have to phone your stockbroker, and every time you place a trade, he charges you £50. This is not Wolf of Wall Street where they're, running junk shops and selling you crap. Although there are people out there still doing that. No, nowadays you can take a much more proactive approach. You can either direct your pension funds and so on to invest in certain types of stocks or sectors. That's a bit more of a passive way of investing your money. You can take a more direct approach like myself and open your own brokerage account, whether that be with a stocks and shares account, or like what I do, which is spread bets or CFDs. Can go into the details of that if someone asks, but those are a few ways to take a more active role where you can be very specific in the equities or commodities or whatever financial instrument you're looking to trade. You can be very specific there. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And I'll allow other guys to ask questions, but just a quick one. So back to the going into shares. Like, how much do I need? Like £1 million to start? Do I need? What do I need to start?
Yes, that is a good question. So with most of these things, you don't need a great deal of money at all. You can open any account with a broker and have no money in it. You obviously won't make any money, but you can do that. It's free to open an account. In terms of investing, as much as you can afford is what I would say. You can, if you take a more passive approach where you open a specific type of account with, say, someone like Hargreaves Lansdowne, everyone knows them, very popular brokerage, and you can invest in certain funds that they offer. They have a number of different products which they'll have someone within their organization managed on your behalf. So you can put your money in there, and however much money you can add and continue to add, they will invest that for you. Very similar to the way your pension is done. You don't really have a direct approach in what that pension is invested in, but you know that it's invested in safe things which will, over the long term accumulate and compound to give you a nice little nest egg when you're ready to retire. So it's a similar approach as I understand it, but it's just a different product. It might have a different name. It might be focused on a different sector, whatever it may be. If you take,
can I ask a quick question, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Ike. I'm based out in Canada. My question to you is: you said as much as you can afford. Shouldn't it be as much as you can afford to lose?
Yes, this is a nice way of putting it, but it depends also on your. Okay, I'll take a slight deviation then. When you invest in the stock market, nothing is guaranteed. Things go up, things go down, and absolutely everyone should be aware that your money is at risk if you put it into the stock market, which of course is why you're able to get a better return if you're successful in doing so. As much as you can afford to lose, actually is a very nice way of putting it. And actually, I should have mentioned, I was going to mention that in a different way later on when I got into the details. However, there are some things within the stock market which are considered very safe, things like property and land. They don't tend to depreciate. Well, I mean, the property might depreciate, the land probably won't. And even if it does, in real terms, it's relatively safe, which is why, during the financial crisis, you see a lot of millionaires and super rich who are just buying property. And that's not because they wanted to rent them out. Most of those properties stayed empty. It was just a way of converting their cash into something that would be resistant to the fluctuations within the foreign exchange realm. So, who was that? Ike, thank you for that.
Okay.
Can I join in? Can I make a comment?
Yes.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Kissinger. I'm an investment banker in Nigeria here. My primary business is investment banking. However, I do trade once in a while. Mr. Razak, your analysis was really spot on. It was very perfect. I just wanted to add one or two comments to that. I'm looking at, especially with regards to the why. Now, the one of the basics and fundamentals of stock trading and the general economy is that during times of uncertainty, stocks prices fall down. Times when things are not sure, the future seems bleak. That's when real value comes in the sense that real stocks, the valuation of stock prices really come down. and that is the best time to buy. Because when most people are trying to run away, trying to find a safe haven, others are looking for opportunities in that aspect. Now, obviously, because of what's happening worldwide, we know what's happening. There's a lot of risk. So the large fund managers, due to the fact that they are holding monies for others, they are seeking safe havens. So by the time they leave the market, right, prices fall down, and that's the best time to buy. So if one needs to look at stocks as valuable positions which you hold on to and maybe sell off when prices are high. Now, in addition to what Razak said about being an active participator, yeah, that's very good if you have an understanding of how to do it, because you need to make sure that your tolerance level, your patience level is very, very small. Meaning that if you get a 5% down, you need to get out before it gets to 10%. Or if you make a 10% gain, you need to get out before it starts to drop again. And don't be too greedy to stay out. Well, if I made 10%, why can't I wait to make 20%? However, the other aspect is the investing on the long term. Investing on the long term, it particularly requires you to invest in stocks that have very, very strong fundamentals and good active movement on the market. Meaning that if you buy a stock now and then the price goes down in the next 2 months, you're not bothered, you're not worried in the sense that you know it's a swing. And at the end of the day, it will get better. Then secondly, if you also want to take the long-term perspective, you need to also look at stocks that have good dividend payout ratios, such that even if the price comes down, you are still comfortable. Without a lack of words to use, you're still comfortable in the sense that you're going to get something at the end of the day. But
so when you sorry to come in. So when you say
okay.
good dividends, you just make sure they're paying dividends. You look at that over a year, or how do you define payments of
good
dividends?
dividend? Excellent question. Now, I believe we understand what a yield is referring to. Dividend yield means that what is the actual return on the price you get vis-a-vis the dividend paid. Now, if you look, the best way to look at dividend payout ratios of companies is to compare them year on year, not 1 year, not 2 years. You have to compare them minimum of 5 years. What kind of payments have they been doing, and what is their yield? What is the yield is not, you don't take that figure isolated, because you need to compare it with the yield of others, either in the same industry or in the market generally. You need to compare whether the yield on that particular stock is higher than, let's say, 10%, 3%, whatever it is. And you have to compare that yield. What is the opportunity cost vis-a-vis what would you have gotten if you had put that money elsewhere? Right, so the yield is important, and of course, what policies does the company have? Does the company say, okay, I'm only going to pay out dividend if I make a certain amount of money? Or does the company say, hey, I like my shareholders, come with me. If I make, no matter how much I make, I'm going to share part of it. Or some companies will say, hey, no matter what we do, we are going to put the money back into the business so that in the future you get more money. So it all means that you have to look at it very, very constructively and know where you are going to invest. Now, the comments that says, okay, go ahead.
No, actually, I was just going to add a bit of context for people who may not be so experienced. I'm slightly cautious that we have people on board here who are either in different locations or have different levels of experience. So just to go back from the beginning, I think what people need to think about first, Samson's first question was, why should we invest in stocks? And I think there could be a chance that there are people wondering, are stocks actually right for me? And the answer may not necessarily be yes. So what the guys have said is correct. It's like, if you know you're looking for a car, and you go to a car lot and you see that cars are 50% off, then it's a great time to buy. But if you don't need a car, or maybe you don't have a home yet, it might not be right for you to buy a car. So it's one thing to say prices of stock right now are great, but whether stocks versus property, it's something that you need to look at individually to decide whether stocks is the thing you want to go into. There might be some barriers, like how much money you actually have, and the ability of, like Razak was saying, the stock markets to give you access to a number of sectors. So even if you can't buy a property, you could actually invest money in what is called a REIT, a real estate investment trust, which is it gives you the same effect of buying property in certain locations, even if you don't have enough money to buy the property itself. So I particularly like the that stocks give you in terms of being able to diversify. So one important thing is, you're buying stocks, as the guys have been saying, being active and passive is, well, you don't want to just go buy all tech stocks, because if tech drops, then you're hit. So one thing you need to look at with when you're investing is how you lay out your portfolio. But first, I think, like I said, the first thing is, are stocks right for you? If you conclude that, yes, this is what you want to do. The next thing I think is most important is, what type of investment are you looking at? Are you looking short term or long term? So Razak was talking about swing trading, day trading versus long term investing. These are things that you really need to decide before you pick stocks. And you can have different portfolios. You could have a long-term portfolio, so something for your retirement. So things like pension funds or your pensions, ISAs. You can look at doing long-term things with that. And you can also have an active trading account where you're looking to be aggressive right now to make a bit of money in the market turmoil.
Two questions, sorry.
Will really guide you on where you should be putting your money.
Can a Nigerian in Nigeria buy stocks in America? And can someone in America buy stocks in Nigeria? So that was a quick question I wanted to pull in.
Okay, Nigerian buying stocks in the US. The answer is yes.
Or UK, yes.
Yeah, somebody put a question on, what's it called now? Bamboo. There's the app called Bamboo that I think is great, because you load it with Naira. BAMBOO. It's an app. You load it with Naira and it converts it to dollars and allows you buy US stocks. I'm 100% certain about. I've not checked on many UK stocks. They're also likely to have, what is called ADRs, which is a UK stock, or a non-American stock that is listed in the US. But the answer is yes. And it's also a good way, like right now, a lot of Nigerians are trying to get out of the Naira. Bamboo also gives you the opportunity to actually convert your money. It's pretty expensive. I think it's something like $4.60 to the dollar now, but it's a convenient way without you needing to go to look for a bureau de change to convert your money and actually hold it either as shares, which could actually appreciate and further protect you if your view is that the Naira is going to drop. You can either hold the cash as dollars, or you can buy stocks, and they may. Just remember that stocks could go up or down as well. So protecting yourself from the depreciation, you might take a loss on the stocks as well.
Okay. All right.
Now, for the trying to buy, or foreigners trying to buy in Nigeria, if you are a total foreigner, I'm not sure of the answer of that, but if you're a Nigerian, you can actually fund a local account and use apps like wealth.ng to actually purchase stocks in the Nigerian stock exchange. And a lot of the time, it depends on where you live and being able to provide your KYC documents. So, evidence of who you are, the source of funds, so like a bank statement and a proof of address. Those are typically things that you would need. In Nigeria, it equates to having a BVN. Okay. Maybe somebody in Nigeria might be able to answer more detail on if a foreigner can buy Nigerian stocks without a Nigerian account or without a BVN.
Okay. One more question on this, guys, before we move to the next agenda topic. Anyone has a question for any of the lads?
Hi, I have a question.
Yeah. Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Toyo, and I would like you to delve a little bit more into short-term trading of stocks. Like, I have 2 accounts, so I want to use one for long-term, but I also want to be able to analyze and sell as I go. How do you go about that? Yeah.
Hello. I'm quite happy to talk about this. This is something I do on a regular basis, and I don't know if you're on a computer, but if you are, I'm also happy to share my screen and take you through something briefly. I know we don't have too much time, but the easiest way is, like I mentioned before, open a brokerage account. Now, again, with many of these things, and as everyone has mentioned, there's a lot of kind of nuance to this. For example, if you open a kind of a traditional stockbroker account, you will pay commissions on every trade that you take. And of course, those commissions could potentially eat into your profits, especially if you're trading stocks which don't move a great deal. For example, they might only move, a few cents each day or week. So it depends on the time frame you're looking to hold your trades. So all these kinds of things need to come into consideration when you choose the type of broker you go with. I personally, based in the UK currently, I use a spread bet or CFDs type of brokerage. That is, they have created a kind of derivative product which sits atop the underlying asset. So let's say if I wanted to trade Amazon. Now, if you want to go and buy a share in Amazon now, I mean, I don't know what it's trading at now, but it's a lot of money. If you want to buy just one share, I think it's like, I don't know, it's a lot of money. I don't remember the exact price. I can check it. But with this CFDs thing, you kind of,
$2,300.
there you go, 2,300. I remember that's just to own one. And whilst it's relatively volatile, depending on whether Trump is calling out Jeff Bezos or Jeff Bezos does something stupid, or look at Tesla, for example. It's quite volatile, still the price will be quite high. And so these derivative products sit on top, which allow retail guys, the minnows in the big fish pool to kind of get involved. And you can buy, almost like someone was talking about fractional shares before. So, but anyway, I don't want to get too far down that road. You open a spread bet or CFDs account in the UK. I don't know about other countries. If you make any profits on that, you don't pay any tax. If you buy actual stocks and shares, you will pay capital gains tax. So again, that's another thing that's eaten into your profits. Apart from commissions and any other kind of fees, the brokerage costs you will pay capital gains tax on your profits. So again, that kind of thing is much more suited to kind of medium to longer term trading, in my opinion. Again, I'm sure other people might know of brokers who, for example, there's Robinhood and so on, who have commission-free trading. But then, of course, as a result of that free offer, you are restricted in the amount of equities that you're available to you. So back to, I'll just use spread bet CFDs. The easiest way to get involved, like I said, is have two accounts. Maybe one is your long-term investing, one is a short-term account, so you can kind of be more active in the market. The way, and again, there's many ways to do that. I'm more of what they call a technical analyst. So I look at the charts themselves, I see what the price action is doing, and then I look to get involved with the underlying trend. So if ultimately overall that particular instrument is going up, I will look to, when I take trades, to go in the direction of the trend, which will be up in this case, or down. You can, of course, go against the trend, counter trend, but again, you need to be very careful when you do that because, of course, generally speaking, the crowd is moving, in a particular direction. So going against that should be something done with caution. If you are looking to do so, you can do it, there's many different styles of trading. There's scalping, where you're taking very small amounts out of the market, a bit like high frequency trading, but obviously you're not a computer, so you won't be going that fast. There's various time frames with which you can look at the price action of the market and you can look to get involved. The advice I would always give anyone who's just starting is to pick a relatively slow moving instrument. If you took a look at the FTSE, for example, it's relatively slow moving, although of course with the current situation, it's a bit more volatile than normal, and to also trade on the higher time frames. If I could share my screen real quick, I don't know if the lady who asked the question has a computer there, but I'll quickly share my screen and I'll just quickly give you a brief example of what I'm talking about. Can everyone see the charts that I've got on my screen? I mean, it's not ideal. I use this one, so there's going to be some stuff on there, but...
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Okay. So if we go, this is the
bad,
month...
I'm using Skype Live.
Sorry.
I can't see.
Okay.
I can't see the screen.
You can't see it? I'm showing my screen.
I can see it. I'm using a laptop though. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, for those that can see, great. For those that can't, you will just have to imagine. That's all I can say. Or go to TradingView or investing.com or somewhere, and you can look at any chart. There are different ways to look at price action. You can look at it as a line chart. That's the classic one we all see on Bloomberg, where there's just a line going, showing, the peaks and troughs of the movement of that particular value of the stock or instrument. I prefer to use candlesticks. I won't go into all the history of what these are, but it's a Japanese, it came from Japan originally. And what it does is a nice way of showing all the action that's happened within that particular, well, day was a classic time frame everyone used to use before, but now you have different time frames. For those who can see my screen, if you look on the left here, as you can see, price is going up, it came down, it went up, it came down, it went up, clearly in an uptrend. So if I was to be looking to get involved, I'll be looking to make sure I'm generally speaking looking to buy, because that is the way the trend is going. And so you'd buy and then you'd look to get out at a particular level. There's different ways to assess the levels you get in at and different ways to assess the levels you get out at. Ultimately, it comes down to your strategy. Like I said, you can go on a short term using 5 minutes or 15 minutes or even quicker, 1 minute. They even have 30-second, 15-second charts if you're a real nimble kind of character. I personally trade on slightly higher time frames because it suits my personality. I'm ready to be more patient. And it also means that when I do take a trade, I'm likely to get more money because it just takes longer for things to happen. So price will move further. Therefore, the potential rewards are greater. I don't know if that makes any sense, but please stop me if it doesn't.
I think for some they may find it a bit complicated just for the new ones who come in.
Yeah, no, I understand. And what I'd even want to say, because I know there's other people and other topics to be covering on this, is that I'm quite happy to, if there's enough interested people, so please do add your voices, if so, to the chat on this call. But if there's enough people, I'm quite happy to do a specific call touching on the real basics of technical analysis and enough to get people pointed in the right direction so they know where to find the right information, resources to help them get started on this journey. Personally, I think it's a very good way to make money. A lot of people can make a good living from this. But one thing I will stress, no matter what any guru tells you, anywhere you see them on YouTube, whatever, this is not a get rich quick thing. I mean, you can see it that way, like, oh, if I'd only just sold up there, look how far I came down, I could have made so much money. Yes, but how would you have known to sell there? Now, maybe you would have known. Some people call the market. Everyone knows George Soros bet against Bank of England in the 80s, and that's where he made all his billions. It happens, but every day is Christmas, and not everyone is George Soros, or so on and so forth. So
we will come back to stocks.
I have a question, please.
Okay, sure, real quick, and because I know Samson wants to keep you moving. Sorry, go on.
Okay, yeah. My name is Kingsley, calling from Canada. I have a question about the platform to use for day trading, because most of the ones we have are not that fast, and you can't, when you fund your account, it wouldn't reflect immediately. Is there any one that you can recommend that can reflect the
in Canada? I don't know if these guys are out there, but FXCM are quite big and international. Sorry, someone trying to say something?
Can I jump in for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
All right, guys. I'm Ayodeji John Ozibona. I work for Audacity Capital. I've been trading from 2004, so I've been in this business a long time. I've worked for Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, JP Morgan. I've been there. I've done that. I've lost money. I've made money, and I know this business inside out. Just to touch on that question, Canada, Vantage FX is a very good liquid provider. They're an ECM broker. If you go to vantagefx.com, they take Canadian citizens apart from the US. They got MT4, MT5, and I believe they're on TradingView as of next week. So in terms of a trading platform, that's your best bet to go to if you don't want to use investing.com or any Java-based platform. VantageFX.com is the place to go, and I'll just type that in the chat link so you can see that.
Okay.
Well, when it comes to FX, I'll jump on.
Thank you so much, Azibona. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're going to come back to stocks, but
okay, cool.
Let's moving. Next thing, top agenda item was Forex. Now, don't know anything about it, never gone into dabble into this, but some people hear it and think, Forex, Forex, this is thing happening, people are making money on it. What is Forex?
Yes.
Why should I join or go into it? How do I understand it in the first place? Anyone wants to
I'll let Jay come in. I'll just quickly add my 2 cents before he comes in, because he definitely will be the expert, and he works for a prop firm right now. So basically, Forex is probably, and someone can correct me, and there's enough financial services people here, but I think it's probably the most liquid market in the world, financial market, which is why that's where the attraction comes from. So there's a lot of liquidity There's a lot of people trading it, not just retail speculators like people on this call, but also nations, countries, big banks, and so on. Everybody's involved. You travel, you change your money, use your, import export is done using foreign exchange. If people buy things in dollars, you change it. If you're dealing in China, it might be using the yuan or renminbi, whatever they're calling it today. And so people need to change their money back and forth. The exchange rate is dictated by the foreign exchange rate, which is dictated by the numbers of buyers and sellers within that marketplace. So if you look to get involved, similar to stocks and shares, it's a case of, again, it depends on what you're looking to get out of it ultimately. But I would say Forex is definitely much more of a short-term and more active type trading thing. For people to look at. That is definitely much more speculative. There are some people who can use it as a hedge or ways to kind of counteract other trades. For example, often the dollar or the yen, and it depends, it changes from time to time, but usually the dollar, the yen, and sometimes the euro are seen as safe havens. So when there's a lot of turmoil, people often put their money, as we're doing in Nigeria now, change your naira to dollar, change your naira to dollar. That's capital flight into the dollar because it's seen as a safe haven. Your money is safe there. So when those kinds of things occur, that will push, that will increase the strength of the dollar, and that will weaken other currencies. So us as speculators, people trading on the foreign exchange market, can look to take advantage of that. You can be like, okay, the dollar is definitely going to be stronger because all these countries are going to be looking to change their money to dollars. That gives it dollar strength. Okay, which currency is going to be the weakest? So now maybe you've identified, I don't know, Turkish lira or South African rand or whatever they use in Poland, zlots or whatever it is. You want to trade that, and then you can get involved and make some money. But I'm going to let Jay come in, who can definitely give you a lot more information about that. But that is why people get involved in a nutshell. It's a very liquid market. It's 24 hours, so there's no oh no, the market's closed. It's always open I say Monday to Friday. I think it starts on like Sunday 10 p.m. UK time until Friday midnight or something like that.
9 o'clock.
Okay, there you go. So I don't trade on Sundays or late on Fridays. So go on, Jay.
Oh, Jay,
Hello.
right
Hello.
on to
Sorry,
you.
excuse me. Can I just quickly say something, Samson?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, Samson. Yeah, this is Kingsley again.
Kingsley, go ahead.
Some of my friends in Edmonton here, we are all on the investment group, and the two people we really always want to look out for their thoughts and stuff were Razak and Ozibona. We're just going to ask, is there anything Ozibona has to say regarding stocks? I know we've gone past that, but maybe we could come back. We always want to hear from him.
Yeah, definitely. I'll touch a bit on that and what I'm going to talk about. But I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible because I'm very knowledgeable in Forex, not trying to be arrogant. So there's so much I can cover, but at the same time, because of time. So if Samson and Razak's happy, I'm happy to have a one-off master session of whenever on Forex A to Z, Q&A, how to trade, and all the technicals. But I'll just give a brief introduction to try and complement what we were talking about, the stocks. So let me just quickly introduce myself. Thanks a lot for Kingsley and your Canadian friends for recognizing the effort I've been contributing towards the group. And thank you, Samson, as well for bringing me into the group, which is just going 2 weeks now. So a little bit about myself. I'm Nigerian. I live in North London. I've not been to Nigeria since '95. So, hey, it is what it is, right? But I've been in the financial industry from 2004. 2004 to about 2007, I lost a lot of money. I went to every guru out there. I lost money. It didn't happen. But eventually on this journey, trading stocks, anything with the financial market, as Razak said before, it takes a lot of commitment. You need to be educated and you got to control your emotional tolerance as well, because this is a roller coaster. It's like swimming in the ocean. Everyone can swim in a swimming pool, but swimming in the ocean, you don't know the ground. That's how foreign exchange is. Don't get greedy. So just to touch on a few basics, we can trade Forex two ways. Technical analysis, just as Razak shared his screen with you. I don't use indicators, believe it or not. And I'm known as a contrarian. I don't go with what everyone else says as well. I believe in supply and demand. For the very reason because We have brokers. Brokers are like casinos. The prices are manipulated. So coming from the industry, just to fast track things, they're betting against you, and you're betting against the big boys. So no one's got $1 million in their bank account. So if probably you are, hey, I'd love to work with you someday. So we're all trying to make it one way or the other, but we have to be realistic as well. And how do you become realistic? Oh, I want to make. You see people on YouTube are making £1,000 a night, an hour, whatsoever. But we don't know if it's true. We don't know if it's not. We can only learn how to do what we're comfortable with within our comfort zones. So coming back to Forex now, some people have traded Forex before and lost money. But the reason why people lose money have two basic reasons in my experience. One, greed. We all greedy to a certain level, if we're honest. Lack of education and that emotional discipline. These are three key factors where I see a lot of people losing a lot of money overnight. And when you meet that right person to show you this is how you trade, because of these three factors now, you find it very hard to come out of your ways. So I'll put it down to basic human psychology. Content, a Coca-Cola bottle will normally be about 330 mil. Anything above 330 mil, the bottle will probably pop, explode, pressurize, or whatsoever. So in terms of your mindset, Forex, stocks, or whatever you're doing in life, it's education. You need to have the right education and the right training to get this right. You can do it by yourself, all the best, but you're going to fail miserably because you've not been with someone who's doing it consistently and proven. When you start a job in Nigeria, Switzerland, wherever in the world, you have job training. So you train to do a job for a certain while to come independent. That's like investing in stocks. Going back to stocks, I strongly don't believe people should be playing with stocks, looking at dividends. Oh, I'm looking to make X amount of money over a period of time. This is just my opinion. And the reason why, because stocks, if you're getting dividends, what percentage of return are you getting on X amount of capital you're investing? If we go with a little low ball of $200, how much are you getting return on $200? The only thing about stocks is long-term gains with compound growth and exponential growth. Risk management, these are things we have to look at. Forex is like trading on steroids because you can make a lot of money in Forex with a little amount. I can show you how to turn $100 into 5, 4, 7, and maybe $1,000 on a good day with the right pair. But that comes with years of experience. But it still gets to show you you don't need a lot of money to make a lot of money as well. Stocks can be traded via options, whereas you don't need to put a lot of money down, but you can leverage a stock. That's like buying a house. A house is $100,000 or £100,000 or €100,000. You need a deposit, maybe 10%. With Forex, we have a thing called leverage. Leverage makes your money go further. So you have brokers giving you leverage of anything from 10 to 500 to 1. So the bigger your leverage, in hindsight, is the less the less you need to put down in terms of a deposit. To make it in simple terms,
How do you identify? I know we'll come back to this later, maybe in a class. But how do you identify that? How do you know what's a good leverage?
okay, that's a very good question. Back to what Razak said before. What is your why? What is your goal? How much are you willing to invest? And how much are you willing to lose? And I put it down to a simple rule of thumb. Whatever you for every $5, let's keep it in very simple numbers. For every $5 you're investing, your end goal should be
Guys,
getting.
can you mute your phone, please? Mute your phone.
Right. Sorry. I'll repeat that again. I'll
Yeah.
keep the numbers very simple. When you're trading Forex, you can trade with very little micro lots and still make a decent amount of profit every single day, every month. So for every $5 you're risking on the market, your goal should be getting 2 to 1. If you can't get 2 to 1, for every $1 you risk, you can't get 2 times the return back. Don't trade that particular instrument because with Forex, less is more. Not big money to make more money. Less is more. And this is where the power of leverage comes into play. When I have a masterclass session, if you guys agree to it, I'll show you all these things. But all I'm saying is you're better off trading Forex, learning the skill, and when you compound your capital to a certain amount, then you can go back to Forex and get your dividends, and you more or less bring your profits from stocks into Forex. So it's like you're recycling your cash, just like when you buy a house. Your house goes up in value, you take out your equity and you invest in another property or in another business. I believe, over my years in this investment in the industry, you don't use your hard-earned money over a period of time to do your investments. Your investments should only give you four objectives, which is make money, save money, multiply your money, and more importantly, maintain it. And that cycle goes round. So you're non-emotionally attached to your investments. So I'll leave it at that, because if I go on, we're going to be on the call for longer. But
Okay.
as you guys
open up to anyone who wants to contribute or ask a question.
Sure.
Samson, let me go. Not really ask a question, but contribute. So, with what I'm hearing on the call, I think there might be a need to do a few other sessions. For example, the forex trading and short-term trading of stocks being one, where you're actively looking to make money. But also people looking to just put money aside into the stock markets or something for long-term investing. I know there was a guy on from the investment bank in Nigeria. I think we can also run a second session where people can look at, okay, if I'm looking at, retirement funds, so I've got kids, I want to start putting money away for my kids now in an investment account. What kind of things am I looking at? Like I was saying, those are two separate goals. And I think we should look at doing sessions for that.
Okay. To answer that question real quick, are you based in the UK, US, or Canada? The last person who just mentioned that.
Yeah, so it's Chibi.
Based everywhere. He's in all
right.
Okay, so let me just. So honestly, the question really wasn't for me because 10 years in investment banking, I kind of know what I'm doing, but I've been going through. I've been responding to a number of comments on the chat, and some of the questions that are going on. It gives me the sense that there's a feel for where people are, and I think it's in quite a few different places. So I kind of know what I'm doing.
Let me share 3 things that might help whoever's in this situation based on different locations. I'll say I'm privileged, and I thank God that I got friendships and relationships in certain places. If you're in the UK, you talked about for your kids, retirements and stuff like that. To touch with everyone that's at home in the UK, as we know, pensions. If you work for any multinational blue chip company in the UK, you have to understand that you have a private pension, which is known as a SIPP, a SIP. Hargreaves and Lansdowne, they do SIPs anyway. So basically, you're controlling your pension by investing in stocks and shares. What people don't know, the government gives you an extra 25% tax relief because you're actually managing your own pensions. So that's just one thing.
We were going to come to pensions later on today. So we'll come back to that. That's on the agenda item in terms of when I said more, we're going to come to pension and why the need to go into pensions and a few other things. So we'll come to that. But what you said is great. I'm sure many people probably didn't know that. So we will come to pension. Due to time, I'm trying to just make sure we continue with the other agenda item. So just 3 more minutes of this. Anyone has any more questions?
How's it going, sir?
I just want to just quickly chip in. I like what Digi said there. He said quite a lot of good stuff, and like he said, he's coming from a place with a lot of experience. I'll just say that for anyone looking to get into much more active trading, and this kind of reiterates some things Digi said, which is, definitely it has to be money you're willing to lose, okay? Because nobody wants you to come and bet the farm, bet your children's inheritance or whatever on any particular trade. That's just gambling. And while some people who don't know much about it might call trading forex or CFD spread betting to be gambling, it really isn't gambling, because unlike gambling where it's a random outcome, with trading, you're able to, I don't want to say predict the probability, but put yourself into high probability scenarios of a certain thing occurring, which over time will give you a positive expectancy and therefore profit, money in the bank. But it definitely has to be money you're willing to lose, which makes, that's the first thing. Second thing is that everyone needs to remember it is a marathon, not a sprint. It is better to be taking, little bites, little profits for a long time in this thing, which will bring your account up to a certain size where those little bites suddenly seem a lot bigger, than to try and go in for the knockout punch over a few trades just to try and win everything, because that is the quickest way to blow up and lose all your money. And the final thing is that trading itself, once you understand the basics of technical analysis, in terms of trend lines and so on and so forth, what you'll truly find is that the true battle is the one with yourself. Humans have an incredible capacity for self-sabotage, knowingly or unknowingly. And so that is what sometimes means that this game, this more active trading thing, is not for everyone, because it can be stressful. It can, be very frustrating. And whatever strategy you deploy in the markets is not guaranteed. I tell you, every single year, the best, the rich, there's like a leaderboard of all the top hedge funds and who made the most money. Okay, and if you look at the rate of return that those hedge funds provide some of their customers, some of them are not that great. Sometimes it would have been better to put your money in a tracker fund than in some of those hedge funds, and also have avoided any management fees. Just to show you that these are the experienced guys, the Harvard, summa cum laude, or the creme de la creme, and even they can't always beat the market. So it's just something to bear in mind when you're coming into this thing. It's very fun, it's exciting, it's interesting to do, and it's always nice to see a win. But with this thing, it takes a certain kind of mindset and personality to be very successful over the long term. That's all I wanted to say.
Can you
Really.
mute your group? Can you mute your phones, please? Mute your phones. For some reason, I can't find. Mute your phones, please. Okay. All right. Let's move on. We'll come back.
Can I say something quickly?
No, it's not mine. Just
Okay, quick 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm so sorry. To the last speaker, can you type out the difference between trading and gambling? I sincerely need to send that to someone.
I'll put it into the WhatsApp group a bit later on. After this call, I have to go and have dinner and so on. But yeah, I'll do that, no problem. Who am I speaking to, by the way?
Oh,
sorry.
The group is Antitanti.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what group you're on, but then.
I'm in the Returnees investment group. So you're Auntie Candy, was it?
Antitanti.
Oh, Antitanti. Okay. That's the English French. No problem.
Okay. Yeah. Let's move on to the next agenda. Like I said, we'll come back to all these. Crypto. So, firstly, again, don't have much understanding of what crypto is, how it works. Does anyone want to kick in? Is it an investment worthwhile? Is it, there was a hype in 2017 about crypto. Oh, get into crypto. A lot of money to be made. This will be the new currency used for trading. Does anyone want to come in? Is this worth going into? Is this worth understanding?
I'll just come in quickly and say I am not in the crypto market. I don't trade it. I don't know enough about how to actually get involved. But I think in terms of a speculative thing, I think there's money to be made. Long term, who knows? Sorry, I think that's Kingsley speaking, so I'll defer to him.
Okay, crypto. I trade crypto, but I won't recommend crypto for the average person starting out. The reason why is because crypto is very volatile. Technical analysis don't respect crypto. Fundamentals don't respect crypto. Crypto's in their own world of its own. But to trade crypto as well, how are you going to trade crypto? Because most brokers only give you 20-1 leverage, unlike Forex, unlike CFDs. It's another ball game, and you can lose twice as much. You get margin calls. I don't know if anyone knows what a margin call is. So crypto is not for the faint-hearted. So if you want to invest in crypto, the best thing is buy and hold. And when I mean buy and hold, you buy on dips and have a long-term view. I got in crypto. I made some money on crypto and I got greedy. I went back in, then crypto dropped. So long term, crypto has its potential because that's the new digital money. If you look at now with COVID-19 in the Western world, like in London now, certain shops are not taking cash, contactless payments, Apple Pay. Some places take crypto, vice versa. So basically, we're going into a cashless society. So over time, yes. So maybe not in our generation, but it's all about generational wealth. You can always pass your cryptos down to the next generation. So
Is it?
yeah.
Sorry to come in. So, but is it you buy crypto now at such a large price? So let's just say I don't know how much it is for one crypto.
Bitcoin's about around the $7,000 mark.
$7,000.
And
About
then
$7,000.
later on in 10 years is not worth more than $1.
That's the chance.
You just hit 8K actually.
Right. So let me say,
So one more
like the guys
thing
are
I
saying,
wanted to.
trading
Okay.
and investing. Yeah. So trading and investing, I think that was what you're saying.
What's going on, my G?
Guys, please put your phone.
If you don't know what you're doing, you will. If you don't know what you're doing, you could just lose a bit of money. If you're in it for the gamble, that's one thing. You can go try your luck. But similar to him, I bought a bit of Bitcoin in the past, and that's done well. But I've just been like buy and hold. And again, that's where I differentiate between trading and investing. I wouldn't say I trade cryptos. I looked at an opportunity and I bought in I took a long-term view. It's doing well, and it doesn't mean that it couldn't go down tomorrow. But I'm not actively trying to, buy the dip, sell when it's high, and all of that. I'm taking a long-term view because I looked at, and when we talk about crypto, things like Bitcoin comes to everybody's head, but that's one cryptocurrency. There is an underlying technology called blockchain, and blockchain is being used in so many different things. And when you understand, if you take the time to understand some of the underlying technologies, you can then say, like what I've done personally, I've said, okay, I think blockchain long term is a game changer. And so I want to invest in, I picked some blockchain related tech companies and some cryptocurrencies. And that's how I took a view. But a lot of the time, Bitcoin being the most popular one, people get in. You can buy fractional amounts. You don't have to put $7,000 to get one Bitcoin. But people are buying the hype, I'd say. Just when Bitcoin comes out in the news, if you bought Bitcoin 10 years ago, and this is the thing I often try to warn people about. If you ever see a message that says, if you put your money in stocks 10 years ago, you'd be a millionaire today, that should not be the reason that you go in, if you did this 10 years ago, because, hindsight is 2020. It could get you looking at it, but you need to understand what you're doing. The guys are talking about active trading. I tend to do more longer term investment. And like I said on the group, I try to understand the underlying technology of what I'm investing in. So if I don't understand what makes something tick, like the Forex market, why do, the dollar versus the Naira, you can get a basic understanding and take a long-term view. And that's different from trying to day trade. So yeah, that's for cryptos. I think there are some dangers there as well, because there are a lot of fraudulent brokers in Nigeria. It is crazy. People on the street are offering to sell people cryptos, and people are storing cryptos in hard drives. Part of the problems with cryptocurrencies is that if your broker is not a proper one and it gets stolen, I'm sure you guys might have seen the news. Some companies in Japan, they got hacked, and that's the end of that. With some places, there's little insurance on the product. It's not necessarily regulated. But then there's a lot of volatility there, and volatility presents a lot of opportunity to make and lose money.
Will crypto,
I'd say that.
Will crypto be the currency everyone uses in the future? Will that take over the dollar? Or what are your thoughts based on your little understanding?
Sorry, can I also ask a question? Just a quick question. crypto, this is Kissinger once again. Crypto, is it a regulated business? Is there some form of regulation worldwide? And how come there's so much uncertainty and so much risk attached to it? Apart from the fact that some people like us, I don't have no understanding of it, but I keep wondering, is it like a regulated business?
I'll just jump in. It's not regulated, and you can create Kissinger coin tomorrow if you really wanted to.
Exactly. You could take up tomorrow and create your own coins.
Okay.
I was at Hotel about 6 months ago, and some people had created a Nigerian. Anybody can create a cryptocurrency. The fact that it's not regulated, on one hand, it might look like a really negative thing, but it's part of what actually makes it appealing to some people. So, people have a view on what, the fact that the dollar is the world currency and how certain people and banks have control, or what is seen as unnecessary control over the value of things. But with blockchain and cryptocurrencies, there is more, it's less controlled by specific individuals, and people like that, and that's where it gets a lot of its value from. But of course, like you said, that unregulated aspect of it is what also creates a lot of the downside. And you can see great highs, great lows.
Okay. So any questions on crypto, by the way? Anyone has any questions?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Sure.
Just a quick one for the guys that know about crypto. I was just wondering, if you had bought Bitcoin, say 10 years ago when it came out, and then just forgot all about it, is there any way of retrieving or finding like what you bought and knowing how to get hold of it?
Yes. Sorry, to answer your question, first of all, do you have a wallet? In order to buy crypto, you need to have a wallet. And depending on where that wallet was, like if it's Coinbase or Binance, was it stored on your mobile phone or laptop? Very important, because wherever you purchased your crypto on whatever device it's on, unfortunately, that's where your crypto is. It's digitally embedded on that device. So if you log on to another platform, your crypto, unfortunately, is probably lost more. But talking about blockchain as well, when you signed up for a wallet, you must have had a 13-digit blockchain password. That's to prevent things, just in case, like what you said, you've lost your crypto, you lost your device. That blockchain password recovers your crypto. Unfortunately, if you haven't got that blockchain password, your crypto's gone. Unfortunately, that's in a nutshell. Unfortunately, I was very fortunate. I had Bitcoin.
That is the correct thing.
I had Bitcoin, but I didn't even know.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I had Bitcoin in 2013. I didn't know about it until a friend of mine in Nigeria saying, "Hey, Bitcoin's the next big thing." I said, "Well, I've got about quite a few of it." He said, "Well, I checked it, and no lie, I can even show in the group. I had about £20,000 worth of Bitcoin. I didn't know. I cashed it out, and I got greedy. I went in with about 15, and the story today is worthless. But it's only worthless if I dump it. But I'll pass it on. That's generation. If I don't see the benefit of it, my daughters will. So that's just
I have two questions. Sorry.
Sure.
First question is, what's the next Bitcoin? So what's the next crypto
nobody know. To be honest with you, nobody knows. That was just pure luck. If I'm honest with you, it's just like the housing market back in pre-2008 and after 2008. A lot of people got very lucky in the housing market in the UK. Hence, after the recession, there was before you could refinance the same day. But
guys, your phone.
Sorry, guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like I was saying. So basically, we can't tell the next Bitcoin. If we get on it, we're lucky. So I like.
What is the Bitcoin look? What's the next currency looking like Bitcoin? These guys are looking like they're coming up.
This is a fine line now. We're going back to stocks. We got to use the same principles in the sense that how do we know the next biggest stock on the planet? We don't know. So there's a thing called ICOs. You have to look at the white paper. who's the CEO behind the coin? Like someone said before, I can make my own coin, IO coin. If I can sell IO very well, and you guys believe in this, is it MMM? You call it Nigeria multi-level marketing. If I can do that very well, sell myself, hey, I made money from this, buy my coin. It's the hype. So we can't unless that the white paper is credible, and you got big people backing it. You have to do your due diligence and take that chance in life. Nothing is guaranteed. So if someone comes to me today, hey, this is the next Bitcoin, you're gonna have to do your own research and take that chance.
Okay. Any questions,
So,
guys?
yeah,
Sorry.
Samson, I'll just add to that. For the benefit, I think that was a good question asked, and the answer I think is quite telling. Don't be very careful of, no matter how much you, for example, you pressured. I like the way he didn't get sucked into giving an answer, because you're literally asking somebody to predict the future. And I would say that's typically a sign. If somebody says, oh, it's going to be this, I need everybody to understand that that's just a personal view, and that person could be totally wrong. So, be careful of people who will say, oh yeah, the next Bitcoin, it's, Litecoin, which is just a coin out there. I'm not recommending it or anything. It's just the name of another coin like Bitcoin. When Bitcoin goes up, almost, like there are correlations in the markets as well, where when tech stocks go up, if Facebook does something and there is a bounce, Google will also rise, just because they're in the same tech industry. The same thing with cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin rising will drag a number of other, any single cryptocurrency will drag a number of other ones as well. The more reputable ones tend to move in this general direction. And so, yeah, I'd say you need to start with cryptocurrencies. You need to be reading the white papers, understand who is behind the coin, almost like a company, like you were saying. Understand who is behind it. Or another way of doing some of these things is, well, how I got into cryptocurrencies was just a bit of, somebody said, like he mentioned, oh, have you heard about this Bitcoin thing? And I'm like, okay, well, here's $200. Yeah, I understand that I could lose it. It's a gamble. I don't know what I'm doing, but here's this password that I need to keep. I got that bit of information, and I'm gonna say that's something that's important to share. You need to keep those passwords, keep your wallets. Maybe I got lucky a bit, but I got a decent seller. And I think for a number of things, people are talking about the Facebook cryptocurrency coming out. I wouldn't say, put all your life savings into it, but if you've got a few bucks here or there and you think, hey, I kind of think Facebook are doing a good job, I'm not going to mind, putting $100 on it. And if, like Bitcoin, it does, 10,000% in 10 years, then hey, I'm chilling. If it doesn't, well, it was $100 anyway. That was, I don't know, a month's entertainment budget or something. That's what I tend to advise people. Just being able to put away a bit of money from time to time would allow you to get into some of these things.
Sorry, I'm going to cut you a bit, so just to keep time. There's going to be one more question. Whoever wants to have a question on Bitcoins, please come in.
Oh, hi. Sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, sorry. My name is Kehinde. I work here in Nigeria for an investment bank, but we do more corporate finance. And I've actually been interested in trading actually, so I might do that a bit. But one thing I wanted to ask, and I know you said we should keep it strictly with Bitcoin, but is it possible to just go a little bit back to stocks, just a little bit?
Well, I'm going to come back to stocks. In that
okay, you are.
We'll come back and do at least 10 minutes on stocks, but Bitcoin, strictly to that before we go back to stocks. So we'll come back to that. Just another quick question I wanted. You've mentioned discipline in terms of investing. How do you discipline yourself? Like with the gym, you go work out 3 days a week. You're focused. How do you discipline yourself?
Okay, to answer that, Samson, first of all, you need to have a plan. What's the offensive plan? What's your why? What are you trying to get out of trading crypto, stocks, or forex? What do you want? Residual income, passive income, or long-term equity growth? So that plan determines how you approach this market. or these markets? Am I going to be trading crypto every day, every hour, once a week, monthly? How much am I comfortable with losing, or how much am I comfortable with taking off the table? It's all about a plan. When you leave your house to go to work or go to the airport, there's a plan to get to your destination. If you get out of your house or going to work or to the airport and there's a problem along the way, you diversify. You find a way to get to your destination. That's like trading. That's like investing. You've got to have a clear plan with clarity. If not, you're running around in a maze. You're not going to make it happen. You're going to run out of cash, get emotionally frustrated, and end up losing everything. So it's very important, whatever you do in terms of investing, education, or whatsoever, you've got to have a plan. It's just as simple as that.
Okay, great stuff. Going to move to the next agenda. Well, we said more, and I have a friend, Dira, who's here. He deals with properties. I think he deals specifically in Canada and Nigeria. Dira, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello, everyone.
Hi. So, Dira, the property market. Firstly, I didn't know you could buy properties in Canada while you're abroad. Is that, am I right, or am I wishful thinking?
Yes. So I think anyone that's looking to invest in property could actually get into the market, depending on, I guess like what your investment objectives are, and then, how much capital you have, and then the time frame you're looking for. So I think some of the appeal some people have for countries like Canada is you could sort of like tie your investments to immigration. And then over time, as it grows and all of that, like you could figure out how to now spread it out to other things.
How affordable is it though? How affordable is getting a place in Canada?
It ranges. Like you can get properties for as low as 50,000 Canadian dollars, which would be the equivalent of maybe about 35,000 USD. In places like Windsor, that borders Detroit.
So what would you be getting? A box? Or what?
No, you may get like a small 2-bedroom house, right? And then you may get a tenant in there that probably pays $300, $400, $500, right? But those ones typically are in like they're in the areas where there's not a lot of economic activity, and the types of tenants you may get as well may not necessarily be the best, but at least it's a starting point.
Why invest in properties though? Why Canada? Why should we, for people outside?
Okay, so actually that's a really good question. Canada is one of the most developed countries that's immigration friendly, right? So if you look at the US, you look at the UK, you look at a lot of Western European countries, Canada is one of those few countries that you could basically immigrate as a skilled immigrant, or or as an entrepreneur, or any of those other so you could just immigrate as a skilled person essentially, and even come here for school, and then essentially you get papers and you're able to now do whatever you want to do afterwards. But the amount of people that are coming into the country.
Are you there? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Dira.
Oh, okay. Okay. So as the economy grows, you now have a lot more options to diversify your investments, and look into other areas as well. So in the past, I've helped people that are looking to get in with a fractional amount, to get in some sort of exposure to the Canadian market. But I focus on the Toronto area, right? So yeah, right now there's a lot of opportunities that would come up. With this whole coronavirus, situation. What we've seen now is that we've seen price declines in the last few weeks. So rent prices have come down, property prices are falling as well. But it's also strong because the financial system in Canada has been the strongest in the world for a number of different years. So
when you say housing, when you say you get a house and it's immigration friendly, so I buy a house in Canada, I can relocate like that, or how will that work?
No, so it's not as easy as that. But if you let's say you had a plan and within 5 to 7 or 10 years you wanted to leave Nigeria as an example, you could start to invest in real estate in Canada, right? So if you bought one property, you put, $60,000. You bought the property at $250,000. What happens over time is the compounding effect of the price growth on that property gives you the ability to gain equity ownership over that time period, right? So if you now had to immigrate to Canada at some point in time, and you're coming in as an investor, right? It's easier to have your capital base together, and essentially you're able to get like a permanent residency.
So buying a property doesn't give me automatic visa.
No. It wouldn't. It wouldn't give you automatic visa in any of the very good developed countries. So it wouldn't, but it does help that case.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions regarding
I've
property?
got a question. Diron, what about commercial property and building developments? Like, I was looking into like getting a commercial property a few years ago, but I fell out with a person because I was going to provide a capital. Because he's a Canadian citizen, he was going to go through the process. So the relationship fell apart. But it's something I'm looking to do right now, funny enough, commercial real estate in Canada. So what's the view of your market at present, and what's the best way to go about it independently for someone living in the UK?
Okay, so that's interesting. We could have a one-on-one follow-up conversation.
I'm gonna DM you right now, and let's keep it fast. I'll contact you some point later, so I'll DM you.
Yeah, but I'll answer the question real quick. The commercial space is huge in the metro areas, right? So Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, and then some other areas like Ottawa, and Calgary. But what you'd find is, there's a density in those areas. There's a lot of people that immigrate to those areas. So, for instance, the Toronto areas, over 60% of immigrants that come to Canada come to the Greater Toronto area. And the population here is about 6 million people, but it keeps growing. So what you find is as there's more demand for residential properties, the demand for commercial spaces also increase as well. Yeah. However, with the COVID, there would be a huge change. This is my own personal opinion. I don't think it's necessarily totally backed up by all the data, but just with the way companies are restructuring their workforce, and with the way a lot of offices are replanning their where their staff stays, and all of that, there would be a lot of restructuring. But what you also find here as well is there's a lot of mixed developments. So I think over time it will be easier to manage it. So residential, commercial spaces that are co-located together, but we could have a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah. Okay. If properties are, like you said, $20,000, 20 to 30 Canadian dollars, so Nigerians can buy outright and keep it as an investment.
Yes. So if you have the money, you can buy it outright. And right now, as of right now, if you have income in pounds or in USD, in one of those stronger denominated currencies, the Canadian currency has fallen a whole lot because A lot of our economic activity is also tied to,
The
to
US.
oil, right? Yeah, it's tied to the US, but it's also tied to oil as well. So, so all those things end up having an effect on how the currency performs over a period of time. So I think over the next few months, prices will drop. Perfect opportunities.
And land will forever appreciate as well, based on population density.
Oh yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, with the prices you mentioned, how easy or difficult is it for a group of people to pull together and make a purchase? So, I can afford it on my own, but I've got 5 people who I think, okay, yeah, we all like the idea and want to come together, put some money together, and then do it. So, I have more knowledge of Nigeria and the UK, where it's things like, KYC, doing the legal checks, proof of address, and all of that to be able to get a mortgage as a group. Proof of income. What's that like in Canada for 5 people to come together to make this purchase?
So, excellent question, and I'll be glad to discuss some of the details, later on. But that's something I've worked with a few different investors in Nigeria over a period of time. But usually through special purpose vehicles, right? And essentially, there's some sort of corporation, based on the type of property. Income is shown through the rent rolls. And of course, like personal income from shareholders. And then people are able to now make purchases. But, it's very specific to the types of properties. And, some financial institutions are conservative in terms of, who they allow for these types of things, because they don't want to have the same types of issues, that the US banks had with the subprime, mortgages and all of that. So down payments requirements would quite likely be higher. So maybe, give or take somewhere between 35 to 50%. But of course, all these things could be structured based on, the individuals that are getting involved and, the types of properties they're interested in.
Okay. Any questions on Canada? Any questions on properties in Canada? Like you mentioned, you can get properties as low as 30,000 Canadian dollars. And any questions? Any more questions on Canada?
So sorry, by the way, as well, I also run realtor.ng, which is an online real estate listing platform in Nigeria. And I'm involved with that as well. So I'm glad to take or answer any questions around that.
Okay. Properties in Nigeria, though, isn't the market volatile now?
It's in Nigeria, it's actually pretty interesting because prior to this whole recession, the real estate sector had been in a recession for a number of years, and a lot of people did not know that. But it's been doing pretty badly. So there would be a lot of opportunities that will come up in the next few months and possibly up until next year. And anyone that's looking for an opportunity, just look for prime areas, right? So some of the prime areas in the Lekki, Ikoyi, Victoria.
People can't. When you call Ikoyi, the amount of people can't afford. Well, I don't know, but I would assume quite a lot. So realistic places to get houses where you're like, oh, I can afford this. Not so expensive.
No, but if you had 3-4 people that put funds together, they could actually buy places in those areas. But so I'm mentioning those areas because they would hold value over a long time period, and the reason is there's going to be a lot of capital flights, just because a lot of people are trying to hedge their investments against the naira, right? But if you're looking for more affordable opportunities, you could get good rents from places like Yaba, Surulere, and then of course land in places like Ibejuleki as well. So those would continue to remain relevant places. But the Nigerian economy is there's a lot that's going to go south for a while until we have more investments coming in, into the country.
Okay, we're going to go back to stocks. I have a 10-minute question and answer. Anyone who has any questions on stocks, please, guys, try and keep it to 2 minutes just explaining so we can have quite a few people join in terms of the questions for stocks. So
Sorry.
back to stocks.
Hi, my name is Tutu. I'm calling from Canada. Before we move on to stocks, I just wanted to talk to Diron about the real estate market in Nigeria. Now, do you offer, as someone that is quite experienced in that field, do you offer, or have you thought about offering, I think someone called it RIAT, products in Nigeria? Is that a reality in Nigeria, or is that something that you have to look for outside of Nigeria right now?
Okay, so I'll answer that. There are some REITs, so that's what they're called, real estate investment trusts.
Okay.
There are some REITs that are traded on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. I think the performances of those have been subpar because typically the way REITs run.
Mute your phone, please.
So the way REITs run, they are based on commercial leases. So, you have a retail space and it's leased for 10 years. And that the owners of those properties know that they're going to be getting rental income for that time period. And we have less of that in a Nigerian setting, right? So REITs are a little bit difficult to do in Nigeria, although there are just a few companies doing it. I guess the ones that have the scale. But that's something that that potentially could be done. But for some of the other people, actually, I'll mention this because I also wrote an article.
Oh, Diro, we're going to have to keep it just to go back. Yeah, sorry, we'll probably have another one. This was just a quick last minute on the agenda, as we said, 10 minutes. I think a few people had questions on stocks, so I want to leave the session open to those who want to ask questions. So we're just going to have 7:25, just 10 more minutes on stocks, 10 to 15 minutes on stocks. If you have any questions, by all means, please ask any of. Anyone on stocks? Kende, you wanted to say something. Okay.
Hi.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, so my question on stock would be like for Nigeria, I know of Well.ng, but they have limited stocks that you can buy. How would you advise someone to go, about purchasing stocks in Nigeria?
Okay, can I come in here?
Yes.
Okay, this is Kissinger once again. Now, if you're outside the country and you want to make investments in stocks in Nigeria here, there are quite a number of, there are a lot of stockbroking firms that offer that services. You can either, open a brokerage account with them. You supply, someone mentioned KYC documents here, which is very key. You supply those information, and then an account is open for you. Then further to that, you can now have an account officer or a designated email which you can send in instructions to buy, sell, or whatever it is. You really don't need to be physically here or send somebody or anything like that, as far as your documentation is okay. Now, but in addition to that, there are some stockbroking firms that have an online platform on which you can trade directly by yourself. Now, but naturally, it's going to be better if you are starting off. You give the instructions, or you give the instructions as opposed to trading by yourself. It's when you get better, when you have a better understanding of the activities and how to do it, then you can now register with the company, register through their online trading platform, when the market opens, you just log in normally. Your interface is similar to that of the one at the Nigerian Stock Exchange, so that you can just buy and sell as you want. However, the major thing is that you must before you buy, your accounts must be funded. You cannot buy outside the amounts that you've paid already, and obviously you cannot sell what you do not have.
But one would say,
can
there's
always
no
fund
point.
your account so that.
One would say that one would say from abroad, there's no point investing in Nigerian stocks due to the foreign exchange. By the time you add inflation, it's not worth it. What would you say to that?
It's all about patience and returns. Razak said something like, if you have the right patience and you invest and your returns overshadows the cost implications, the inflation implications, you are on the right track. The major thing about stocks is patience, and you have the right strategy. If you decide to make sure that you come out, or if you do swing trading, you come out at 10%, 20%, you stick to that and follow the strategy to the letter. Now we cannot overemphasize inflation, forex risk, and things like that. However, it's also important that you have adequate strategies to override all those risks.
Okay. All right. One more thing. Pensions. Sorry. Jay, I think you were going to talk on that. Quite a lot of people do not have pensions. What are your thoughts on it? Is it important?
All right, let me just.
And anyone else, feel free to join in after.
All right. Pensions, depending on where you are. I did put a little bit in the UK. Everyone in the UK that's worked has a private pension, apart from the state pension. At the age of 55, if you look at most people at the age of 55 plus in the UK, they're very liquid with big amounts in their bank accounts, from anything little from £25,000 up to the 70 or hundreds. But at that stage in life, they're looking for...
Guys, can you put your phone on mute, please? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, at the age of 55, you're allowed to take your private pension, the whole bulk of it, to invest at your own discretion, tax-free. But in order to get to that stage now, what the system they don't tell us is that we can have our private pension through a SIPP, which can be used to purchase property, stocks and shares, and other investment vehicles. But the only catch is you cannot spend it. You can only invest with it. It's tax-free, and the government gives you a 25% tax rebate on whatever you contribute to your private pension. You can do it two ways. You can add a little extra yourself individually, or your employer automatically contributes on your behalf as well. So it's like you're getting free for the price of one. You, for example, if you're earning, let's say £1,000, let's just keep the numbers small. For every £100 you contribute towards your your private pension, your employer contributes an extra 100. So you're having £2,400 in a private pension that you don't know about. But what's happened now, this is put in a tracker fund, like what Razak said earlier. But I'm a contrarian. I don't believe in tracker funds to a certain level. That's just my experience and my own view. Everyone has their opinion and has different ways of how they manage their finances. I believe finances should be controlled by yourself, the individual. No one knows how to make the best decision apart from you. So this is just one thing, money you don't know about. In the US, you have something equivalent to a 401k. I have a friend, I've shared his details in the group a few times, Douglas Aze, he's in Virginia. Just tell him you're from me. He will have an in-depth conversation with you. He will teach you how to leverage your 401k in the US. Canada, I got a friend, but I'm not in contact with him at the moment. But he's just moving houses at the moment. So as soon as I get his details, I can share his details as well. In the UK, I have someone as well, and I'll share her.
Dude, can you please mute your phones, please?
So in terms of pensions,
sorry, are you there? Jay, are you there? By the way,
Jay,
I hope.
unmute yourself. Sorry, Sam.
Yeah. Does everyone have some sort of pension scheme? No? Especially those in the UK, America, Canada.
Canada,
France.
we have our own,
Yeah.
like, you can get your own, you can set up your, there's, I think it's LAPP that you can, but you usually get it through your company employers. So, but there are, like, my current employer does not have a pension fund set up for us, so we have to figure that out by ourselves. So I'm really interested in finding someone that would be able to walk me through that, because right now, me trying to save for my pensions, I would rather just invest my money, my savings, my TFSA or whatever in stocks and bonds and all this other
Are
stuff.
they
So
private pensions though? Are they private
they,
pensions?
Okay.
they are partly, but
Some
at the same time they are taxable.
Okay.
So when you want to take money out of it,
So yes,
so
this
what
is
they've
something.
been,
Let me just add a bit on the
go ahead.
pensions bit. Private pensions are great. You know what Jay was talking about? One thing to look out for is if there is a state-provided pension. So the UK, the US 401ks, ISAs, the state-provided pension provides this advantage of the extra money that they put in. Jay used the £1,000 example, but the way I like to explain it to people is, for example, in the UK, and I know the US has it as well with the 401ks, if you contributed £80 into the account, the government would give you an extra £20 to put in that account. And if you think about it, there are very few places where you can get 25% or £20 and £80 extra for just taking out this option. So I think personally, I think it's a great savings option that people should use. In terms of looking at your whole, your finances, once you're hopefully done with paying off your mortgage, which is probably the largest debt most people carry, being able to pay into your pension or maximize the value you're getting out of your pension, I think is one other important thing that people should look out for. Even Nigerian companies as well actually provide this. So even if it's not coming from the government, if your employer will do something, so either the state or your employer, if they have a pension scheme, I think people should definitely look out for it and try to tap into it, because that's free money that people leave on the table. And you can also use some of these accounts to still invest
Are they
in stocks.
Nigerian pension companies that people can look into?
Yeah, a lot of financial. So First Bank, a lot of the banks would have pension arms, but there are also specific pension companies. But you should look at what your employer provides, because it's them adding to the money, that free money that I definitely get people to look out for. No point leaving it on the table.
Okay. One more thing, please. I forgot to mention. If anybody earns over 6 figures or in the high end of 70 and above, it's a very tax efficient way of lowering your tax bill. So that's another strategy as well. So if you're in the high tax brand in the UK, a private pension reduces your tax effectively and you still get the bonus as well. So that's extra leverage. I'll mention that as well.
Okay. All right, guys. One or two more questions and we're off. So
I'm just going to say, Samson, sorry, I'm going to have to drop off the call. But for those,
Razak,
this is
thanks so
Razak,
much.
everyone. So for those that do want to reach out to me, I'm in the Returnees investment group. And like I said, I'll work with Jay and Samson. We'll probably look to set up another session around the swing trading, more speculative element of trading stocks, commodities and Forex. But otherwise, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for your time and the good questions.
Thank you so much, Razak. We appreciate you.
Sorry, and guys
No
as well.
problem.
I got to go as well. Thanks a lot, Samson. I'll be in touch. I have to run out now. So, guys, thanks a lot as well. Take care.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, guys.
There's a number of people in the messages that are asking for the link to join the investment group. Do we still have
the investment group is limited, so
I don't think we still have place.
Yeah. So it's limited. We'll see. We'll revert back once it's space. In that regard. But if you're on this, we can add you to our other returnees platforms as well. So just reach out to me.
I remember. Sorry, Samson, it's a Ken and asked that question. I'm already on the returnee platform, the worldwide one. Is there any criteria you have to meet in order for you to join the investment?
No, it's just we're limited. We're limited people. We said we just have a target of we don't pass a specific number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sorry, I'm not trying to be gender biased, but is there any way of setting up something for women? Because I could hear loads of men and very limited women, and there are a lot of women also interested in, I don't know, but we're not quite versed. We're not quite, I'm speaking for myself, but basically I'm still a newbie when it comes to this. But again, I would appreciate
for that.
helping hand. So I don't know if we can have like a Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, most definitely. I mean, you can hit me offline as well in that regards, and just we can talk. We can take that offline and definitely see what we could do. Hello.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. Any final questions before we log off, or are we good? Any questions? Great. Guys, it's been great having you again, and hopefully we'll come up with more discussions to, like I said, it's all about empowering, helping each other, and just also educating each other to know better. Knowledge is key, and one thing we all try to do is make sure we carry everyone along in our learnings. So it's been great having you. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you.